The noise first started on a Saturday morning from 9 a.m. until about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The person above me moved his furniture back and forth along the hardwood floor in his bedroom and in his living room. So the entire apartment was engulfed in all this noise. After listening to this for about 6 to 7 hours, I banged on the ceiling and yelled, "Shut up." And there was quiet for about 15 to 20 seconds, and then the man started running back and forth screaming. So at that point, I thought he was having a mental health breakdown, so I called 911, and the police said they would send someone out. And about an hour later, there was a knock on my door, and I opened the door, and there were two Boston police officers. They said they had gone upstairs, had talked with him. He said he admitted to making noise, but he was watching a football game and got very excited, and that was the reason for the noise. However, I told them the football game started at 2:15 because I was listening to it on the radio, and the noise started at 9 o'clock, so that wasn't really true. And they just shrugged their shoulders and said, they had done their job, and any future problems, I should contact the property manager. So that's how it all initially started. So you're sure I don't need an attorney present? Hello, my name is Rod Wojak, and I live in a public housing in the Back Bay of Boston. It's a building for the handicapped and the elderly. I was born in Chicago, Illinois in April of 1954, so I'm 70 years old. First moved to this building in December of 2020. I was living in Roslindale, and I applied to this building about 2 years beforehand. I must have won a high lottery number because some people waited 6 to 8 years to get an apartment in this building, so I only waited about 2 years to get an apartment, so I was lucky in that regard.
Is she first looking for a job?
Yeah, she's looking to live in with someone. Oh, let me answer that. If you want to pick up, and I'll answer. Yes, hello. Yes, correct, I'm here. This is me.
Management has had the security guard patrolling, doing extra patrols on the third and fourth floors. So
Yes.
you live on the third, and the person making the noise lives on the fourth.
Yes.
They haven't heard anything, which is why I was looking to figure out if there was specific time so I could tell them.
No specific time. It could be any time. Sometimes it's light tapping, and sometimes it's very loud. It's not repetitive where someone just stands there and for 20 minutes and does it. It's bang, 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 and then maybe 2 hours will go by and it will happen again. That's what usually happens. I contacted two agencies, HUD, which is the federal government Department of Housing and Urban Development, and there's also a state agency called the Mass Housing and Finance Authority. I believe they hold the mortgage on the building. But so far, both agencies have been very, very unwilling to help. When people have called the police about issues like this, the police come, they knock on the door, and they ask the person to be quiet, but then they say, there's nothing more we could do. If you want this resolved, you have to talk to property management, who could write them up for a code violation. We can't write them up for anything. The building's manager is named David Ridge, and people who have lived in the building for, say, 20 to 30 years, and of all the building managers we've had, he's by far the worst.
If you're going to describe him to someone who's never seen him, like, how would you describe him?
A tall, skinny man who looks very much like an ostrich. And when you deal with him, he's very sarcastic. He makes sarcastic comments to you. And he does not really like to become involved in problems in the building. So at one time we had a person who would come and spend the night with you and see if what you were saying was true or not. And when I suggested that to David Ridge, I said, well, David, if you want to know what's happening, why don't you come here some night and listen? And his response was, I'd like to eat breakfast every morning. See, the thing is, I don't want to move. I'm 70 years old, and the last time I moved, it was convenient because the apartment was just down the hall. So I moved everything. I moved everything myself, every piece of furniture, every pot and pan, every piece of clothing. I don't want to help me, so it took me an entire week. It took me seven days to do all of that, so I don't want to move again. My eyesight is so poor right now, I could go to bed tonight and wake up blind tomorrow. That's what happened 2 years ago. I went to bed, and overnight I went blind in my right eye. And now the left eye is so bad that that could occur again. I could go to bed tonight and wake up in the morning and be completely blind. So what happens then? The main thing is the mental illness. I have schizophrenia and I have OCD. And what happens when the banging occurs? My schizophrenic condition tells me when I have hostility coming from someone or when I get a disagreement with someone, my schizophrenia tells me that they're trying to take over my mind. And because I have that belief in my mind, I have the OCD sets in. I have to start doing repetitive gestures in the apartment. When I hear the banging, I can't get back to sleep. I have to start doing OCD things. I have to start touching the furniture like 5 times. Each piece of furniture I have to touch 5 times. I have to touch the wall maybe like 10 times. And that's why this behavior is so destructive. But what I've told my therapist is I'm afraid that now, one night this may happen. I may cross the line and go completely crazy, where I put inpatient and I never leave an inpatient unit. That's what I'm afraid of. That I'll go completely crazy one night, because this happens almost all the time now, and I'm afraid that one night that will happen, that I'll go completely crazy and never return to normalcy like I have now.
Um,
Yes, I'm not. I'm sure. I know you have a very troublesome job. I know you don't know how to handle it. No, neither do I. I've always thought that talk was the way to do it. You talk to a person you have conflict with, and you try and resolve it, person to person. That was a thought that comes to mind.
yeah, I
I don't know
understand,
what's
but
going.
I think in this case, both parties have to agree,
Yeah, of
and
course, yeah.
they can't
But if this
force.
person would agree to it, I would be willing to sit down and talk with them. Say, why do we have to be enemies? Why can't we be friends? I mean, if this guy likes to watch football, I like football, but I can't see what's happening on the TV anymore. He could come down, we could watch, we could put the football game on together. He could describe to me what's happening on the screen, because I can't make that out anymore. The guy doesn't have to be an enemy, he could be a friend of mine.
Okay, so I am gonna email management to let them know that you're requesting um, a meeting or like mediation with the people, with the residents from 401.
Yeah, yeah. And if he agrees to it, we could sit down and maybe resolve it, yes, yeah. Maybe there's something I don't know about. I don't know why. Maybe the fact that I was friendly with his brother, maybe he realized that, and I don't know, feel jealous or challenged or something. I don't know. It could be anything going on in someone's mind.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what's going on, but unless you sit down and talk about it, you'll never know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna send them this email. I left them a voicemail earlier. I was hoping to get in touch with them. I'll give you a call back. I'll ask them to reach out to the other party to see if they're interested in mediation.
That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. If they say yes, that's fine. If they say no, I'll just accept it. Yeah, either way is fine. At least I make the effort. If you don't make the effort, nothing ever happens. So,
Yes. Okay. So I'll call you either Monday or Tuesday. Um, if management responds today.
that sounds good. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday next week, that should be fine. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for calling and have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you, I guess, sometime next week then.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye now.
Bye.
So how would you describe the current state of the like situation with the banging upstairs?
I think the current state is basically the same. It may have lessened in frequency a bit. In severity, there's more light tapping than there is loud banging. So basically, it might be a little bit better, but not very much. Because again, 7 nights a week, I'm never able to get a very sound, long sleep. I cannot sleep 8 straight hours. At some point in the night, maybe once, twice, someone will be banging or tapping above me, and that will wake me up and prevent me from getting a full night's sleep. So in those terms, it really hasn't changed. It's impossible to get a full night's sleep on any given night of the week. One day I was in bed at 4:30 in the morning. There was tapping on the hardwood floor in the bedroom above me. So that time I got up, I went upstairs and I knocked on the door. And after about 45 seconds, the door opened, and I said, why are you tapping on your floor? And he said, we're not tapping. And I said, well, someone was just tapping on the floor and it woke me up. And he said, it's not us, it's the people above us. They're making all the noise. He said, they do this a lot, so it's not us, it's the people above us. So I didn't say anything. And he just said, emphatically said, I'm sorry. And he closed the door.